Welcome to our new series about life in Anglo-Saxon times, inspired by the Netflix series The Last Kingdom. This is often referred to as the Dark Ages because not so much is known about these times. The Last Kingdom really brings this period of history to life.
In our first episode, we summarised and reviewed this series and asked you, our lovely viewers, to give us suggestions for topics we could do for future episodes.
Our first response was from my husband Ryan, who requested a video devoted to weaponry. There is a link to this video in the description below.
The most popular suggestions are related to food, and we have suggestions from the following wonderful YouTube channels. Everything Shakes. Jason and Amber's protein shake and dessert recipes are aimed at helping you kill cravings while meeting your protein needs. Mrs. Sonia Elaine. Sonia shares her in-depth knowledge of cooking while celebrating family life and fun. OmaFarAway. Anita is Dutch, and her passions are food and travel.
The Anglo-Saxon diet was simple and nutritious, and mainly plant-based. Meat was not always available, especially for the poorer members of society.
When meat was available, the main staples were wild boar and deer, which were roasted over the fire. However, they could only be hunted for food by the people who owned the land.
The Anglo-Saxons kept pigs, sheep, goats and cattle, but not always for their meat. Sheep were kept for their wool. Cows and goats were used for their milk. Pigs, however, were sometimes kept for food because they produced large litters of piglets that would grow up quickly and be ready for slaughter.
Saxons grew wheat, rye, oats and barley. They used the wheat to make bread and used the barley for making beer. The oats would have been used to feed animals and to make porridge.
They cooked bread in a clay bread oven, which was outside their house. Bread was cooked by lighting a fire in the oven, letting it get hot and removing the ashes. The bread could then be placed inside to cook. Bread would have accompanied almost every meal.
Leeks were the most popular vegetable used by the Saxons. They also ate onions, peas, parsnips, cabbages, beans, garlic, beetroot, turnip and carrots. Carrots would have been reddish purple and small. Stew was one of the most commonly eaten meals. It would have been made from whatever vegetables were available.
Their houses were made of wood with roofs thatched with straw. There was only one room, and in the centre of that was a fire on a stone with a hole in the roof to allow smoke to escape. This was where they cooked their meals when it wasn't possible to cook outdoors. A cooking pot or iron cauldron would be hung over the fire to cook soups, stews, porridge and pottage, which was a barley or wheat stew with vegetables. These were common foods, since they could be left all day to cook over the fire whilst other chores were being done.
The Saxon diet also included various fruits, such as apples, cherries and plums. They also gathered wild fruits, such as raspberries, blackberries and strawberries. I'm going to wildly eat my apple. Apples were wild, I can't say it. Apples were wild, no, I can't. Apples were widely eaten and may have been used to make cider. But it wasn't quite right, was it? Apples were widely, no, I can't. Can you say apples were widely?
I don't know if I can say anything at the moment. I'm laughing too much.
Apples were often eaten and may have been used to make cider.
Let's go with that.
Let's go with that.
Anglo-Saxons often built their villages by rivers or the sea. This meant that they could catch fish to eat. It was eaten fresh or preserved by salting, smoking or drying. Fish were often wrapped in leaves and cooked between stones. Most people ate a lot of shellfish as well, and shellfish may have been exported to other parts of Europe.
Only water from springs would have been safe to drink, so even children habitually drank beer over water. The rich would also have drunk mead, an alcoholic beverage made by fermenting honey mixed with water, and sometimes with added ingredients such as fruits, spices, grains or hops.
Herbs were mainly used to make medicines, although dill, thyme and coriander may have been grown to flavour food. Pepper, ginger, cloves, cinnamon and mace were sometimes used in wealthy kitchens. Honey would have been used to sweeten dishes, as there was no sugar. Salt was not readily available to most people.
The Anglo-Saxons used large iron skillets or griddles over open fires to make pancakes and other small cakes, and ate with spoons and sharp knives. Anglo-Saxon domestic pottery was normally made in rough black fired form.
During the 6th to the 8th centuries, pottery was handmade locally and fired in a bonfire. These items were mainly used for cooking and storage and were undecorated or decorated simply with incised lines. By the 8th century, the slow wheel was being used by local craftsmen, which by the 10th century led to pottery being mass-produced by using a fast wheel and firing pots in kilns. The pottery then became more stylized and decorated. The Saxons made household goods and farm equipment from pottery, wood and metal.
Some of the meals eaten by the Anglo-Saxon nobility consisted of up to 12 courses. Wine was imported from the Mediterranean, but only drunk by the very wealthy.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions or observations, please pop them in the comment section below.
Coming soon are more Saxon topics suggested by you, and there's some really interesting ones.
If you suggest a topic and we use it in one of our videos, then we'll give you a shout out in the video.
Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time.